Hey folks, we're back again this week, and we are going to be talking about getting started with probably what we think is the best framework out there. Or actually, I don't think of it as a framework. I think of it as a JavaScript platform, MeteorJS, that is. And we're going to tell you today how you can get some mastery over it within about 80 minutes. That's right, a little over an hour. And we have the man himself here today. Jan, why are you on the screen? So, yep, got the wrong person up before. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we've got the man of the hour today. His name is Harry Adel. You've probably seen his picture just now when we had the illustration up. And here we go. That's what we've got. Learning MeteorJS is surprisingly easy. And I think that is at least his point of view. I've watched his tutorial stream, and I think you're going to come to the same conclusion once you go through it. But first, let's talk about what this is. This is the 71st episode. No, it's not the 71st. It's the 70th, 70 episode. It's staring me right in the face here, but I'm looking at the camera. 70th episode of This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly newscast of the MeteorJS podcast. My name is Alim Ghaffar. Today I'm coming to you live from New York City, back here again from my trip to California. And with me in the studio today is, let's see who that is.
Hey, everybody. My name is Jan Dvorak, aka StoryTeller, and I'm coming to you live from Prague, which is very overcast and for where weekend looks like Mordor.
Yikes. So it is a little bit, I don't know. We're still working on these on these controls here. So Jan, why don't we just head straight to that first story? Actually, before I get to that story, and we can actually take this off for a second. But before we get to that first story, I just kind of want to mention real quickly here. Let me get this up. Is oh God, it just came to me and then it left. It just disappeared. You know what? Let's just get to that first story, and eventually what will happen is it's going to come back to me, and then we will go from there. Apologies about, this is what I was going to talk about. We are having some technical difficulties still. We are using a new streaming service. We've played with it. There are still some complications. What happened earlier was I was using one computer to run the studio, and I switched to another one, and it totally shut down the entire thing. Had to recreate the entire session, connect back to the YouTube streams that are running live right now, both at MeteorJS community channel, which is the channel that most of you are going to be watching on, and also the New York City Meetup channel, which is MeteorJS NYC. So that's why we're here. That's where we are now. And as we normally do, we're going to get right into the news. And let me bring back the slides here so we can actually talk about what it is that we want to talk about here. All right. So let me put us on the, which is pretty cool. So there's the first story I want to talk about is this video by a gentleman or a person by the name that goes under the name of Awesome, the handle Awesome, right? And that person puts together a lot of these little videos. They're very much in the same format that Fireship, if you're familiar with Fireship, does, and sometimes uses the same kind of humor. Fireship is very much well known for using humor in his videos. And what this covers is and we've talked about what it covers. It covers the state of JavaScript survey, and it does a review of it. And it does a really good job because on top of just going through what was found in it, he does some meta-analysis. And I actually like that. So it starts with the review of the state of JavaScript survey results. If I'm going to just get right to the chase, his point of view is, look, today, pretty much all of the frameworks that are out there are very much the same. They do basically the same things. They feel the same. They operate mostly in the same way. There are some nuances, and it's worth giving it a try. And he says with AI, it doesn't take a lot of time to actually learn how to use these different frameworks. But one of the things I think that I really want to point out to you guys is how he did his meta-analysis. And the way he does it is by looking at 3 of the different indicators there: the usage charts, the interest charts, and the retention charts, right? For the usage, he's looking at historic and current usage data, which is driven by job opportunities and level of interest today. And he also looks at the retention as being, so that's laying the groundwork of like, this is where the state of things is today, right? That's how it is. And then the retention he looks at to ascertain the future value of the frameworks, because it measures the developer satisfaction with the tools that they're already using. And he's noticed that there is a preference overall. There's been a growth trend towards simpler frameworks. So, you want to keep that in mind as you're looking at it. And he makes a hot claim that Astro has a potential to surpass Next.js. Take that for what you will. I haven't spent any time with Astro yet. We have talked about it in the past. I haven't actually tried to build anything with it. I don't know. Jan, have you given it a try yet?
I've looked at it, and it had, for me, I have the same critique, or the reason why I don't go for it as why I don't go for Next.js, because of the router, which is very much file-based, and I don't build static web pages. So that for me is kind of not interesting, and it's the same critique I have for kind of React recently as well, but that's for another day.
Yeah, well, he has a little bit to say on React. He's kind of mentioned that it's gotten pretty complicated, and keeps on adding things rather than going back in and taking a look and seeing how it can rebuild its reactive modeling. It just adds things on, adds to the complexity of it. And his feeling is that although the next team has really given a lot of effort and helped out to move it forward, the feeling is it's doing so at the expense of everybody else. It really is taking care of what Next needs and what Next wants. But as far as whether or not that is actually good for all React users, it's a question that's out there. To me, React feels a lot like how Angular felt, 10 years ago, really kind of getting bloated, kind of getting fat, kind of getting crufty. And so, what I would suggest is, if you have on this, and it does make some suggestions that that you might want to take a look at some of the newer frameworks. The newer frameworks, of course, have some things holding them back. They don't necessarily have a good corporate sponsorship or a very large community, or a full expansive set of toolings and libraries around them. But again, it's one of those things where sometimes the simplicity trend seems to be the thing that's really moving and attracting developers. So why don't you watch this video yourself? We have the link there, and we also have, and let's see, somehow or the other, Jan, we have to be able to get rid of your indicator here. I don't know why it shows up and blocks the link. But what's really comfortable and nice is you also have the QR code. You can just take a shot of the QR code, and you can get to the website, to the YouTube channel and that video, and you can watch it. Try to use the same methodology that he uses to assess these different frameworks and see whether or not you come up with the same conclusions. And we'd love to hear what you think about this. All right, my hot take is that I'm rooting for Vue, Svelte and Solid to be the next big things here. So Jan?
All right, off we go. Every time these things comes around, we give you a big notification. We talked about them. It was already talked about, which was the state of JS. And recently what we've got was a release of the schedule of when everything is going to be happening this year. And we have some new surveys as well. So first of all, we have on 1st of February coming up is State of AI, which, given the raising interest, was going to be quite interesting to kind of see where people stand on many of these things, and very much looking forward to see what will come out of that. And then something called State of Devs. I'm not exactly sure what it's about, probably how much burnout we are all, or maybe something different. And then we have the classical State of CSS, State of HTML, State of React, and State of JavaScript. I do believe, but I'm not certain off the top of my head, there might have been State of GraphQL at one point, or maybe
I believe there was at one time. Yeah, I don't think it's been around for a while.
So that's something that and maybe if there's an entrepreneur spirit to do State of Meteor, that's something I would have been looking to if I had time, but that's a different story. So yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that this is coming up, so that at least you have some idea when these will be coming out, so that you can learn new things, learn what everybody else is thinking in the field, and hopefully discover some amazing things. But again, as they come around, we will all give you a reminder. And a reminder also that these are all built /agreef we also started with Meteor. So that's what kind of our biggest connection to all of this.
Very cool. Yeah. The last State of GraphQL survey results that I saw was in 2022. So it's a few years now. Maybe there will be one in the future.
Maybe. But at the same time, GraphQL doesn't really changes as much in the language itself. So
I don't know. I don't know what's happening there. It's I've not been using it, so
all right.
I think Kelly uses it quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
me as well, but I'm not that much. But that's a different story. Speaking of different stories, what's happening there, Alim, with JavaScript itself?
Well, all right. Listen, we've been talking about JavaScript, and I don't know if we're allowed to. I don't know if we're allowed to, because the JavaScript name itself is trademarked, and it has been trademarked for a very, very long time, and it's owned by Oracle, sort of like the boogeyman of software companies, right? The big granddaddy of relational databases. They're known for picking fights and winning, and they acquired that JavaScript trademark many years ago when they acquired Sun Microsystems. And Sun, if any of you know, was a really big player in the early days of the internet. Anyhow, I'm concerned, Jan, that when we talk about JavaScript, every time we use the word JavaScript, we owe royalties, But our friend Ryan Dahl has been challenging this, right? So back in November, and we covered this in an earlier story, he wrote to the USPTO, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, and asked them to please, drop the trademark that Oracle has, because people use JavaScript in common language. We talk about it often. It's basically like a generic word, not so much a trade branded word that has some kind of that has some kind of monetary value behind it, because he argues that they haven't really enforced this. They haven't gone and said, listen, every time you're using this, you owe us based on some licensing terms. So he petitioned to ask USPTO to drop this, and with the hope that Oracle would say, you know what, guys, we're going to do a good thing here. For the benefit of the community, we're going to let you have it. We're going to let you have it. We haven't used it. We haven't done anything with it. We've really not enforced our rights with this. You can have it. But Oracle being Oracle, that's not what's happening, right? So they put the Ryan Dahl, and basically it's the Dino team. Ryan is the guy behind Dino. Dino is the alternate runtime to Node.js. And Dino's just an anagram of Node. If you twist those letters around, you'll see it. But Oracle is not letting this go, and they've basically written back and said to the USPTO, no, we're not going to just voluntarily relinquish this. We think that we still have the right to own the trademark on it, and we're going to defend it. And that's where it is right now. They're going to be sending back information demonstrating how they have, they have protected the use of this trademark. And the Dino team is not convinced that Oracle can do that in a convincing way to the USPTO. So if you haven't done so already, grab your popcorn, sit back and watch, because this is going to be a really interesting show. I'm going to keep using JavaScript right now while I still can, but if we get the bill for using this word too much, I'm going to pass it right on to you, Jan.
Yeah, it's I'm thinking, should we be saying JavaScript trademark or JavaScript TM or
right, or register trademark, because it's registered. Yeah.
It can be quite interesting. I think it's like 50-50 how this is.
Mm-hmm.
How this can go. I'm not a lawyer, so that's that. But I think it kind of makes sense that it kind of goes into the public domain unless Oracle has some very specific financial interest to kind of keep it in a trademark. But it's look like at first look, as it again not a lawyer, but at first look it doesn't seem to me that it's going to last. But again, stranger things that happened. So
yeah, I think I know what happened, right? I think what happened was, this comes out, it shows up in the news. Oracle has a ton of assets out there, many different assets, some that it's monetizing right now, and others that are sort of sitting in the background. And I'll guarantee you that Larry Ellison, looked up from the horse that he was riding while he was playing polo, and he had gotten a notification about this whole thing with JavaScript and saying, hold on a second, who's in charge of this? What's been going on? These are my assets. I bought them. Why isn't somebody protecting them? And, the proverbial poop hit the fan, and now they're scrambling to try to find a way to protect it. And Ellison's like, I'm not a charity. I'm not giving the stuff away. I think there's a scramble going on over at Oracle. I have a friend of mine who works over there. I should reach out to her and see if she knows anything, but probably not.
Yeah, another thing is this can
That's
also
my little
be
fantasy, by the way. What's going on?
This actually just kind of remind me, like, one of the big things, as you said, that they have a lot of assets. Mm-hmm. Is that if they don't protect their the trademark here, that could be a precedence for them to lose other things. That's kind of in a way a downside of, you could say, the trademarks and copyrights, or well, not copyrights, but trademarks, especially like if you don't use it, if you don't defend it, then you lose it, which oftentimes really forces the companies to go into legal battles that they don't want to,
right?
But they have to, so that they don't lose their trademarks. So
right.
That's one other kind of angle at it.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, especially since they own things like MySQL, for instance, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So even if Oracle, if they are not malicious and they one of the things could be that they don't really care. They would they could want to give it away, but for legal reasons they can't, because that could threaten other their assets or other aspects that they have where there is where they have a strong interest, or in general. So this might not be necessarily malicious, and we might have what we might see here is like a dance, legal dance to make sure that everything is kind of done properly and it's released in a way that doesn't harm Oracle.
I'm not necessarily saying this is malicious. I think first of all, I think the idea of going and trying to claim something in the public domain, another company says, well, this is our property. I think they're just, Oracle has always taken the posture that, you're not going to get something from us without a fight. You're not going to come take stuff from us. And I think in this case, it might be viewed as a taking, right? They might be very willing to, give it over freely, because let's be honest, you have companies like IBM that have taken patents that they've had, and Microsoft, and once they realized what open source could do, have turned some of those patents and did them, out, so that they no longer have control over those patents. The projects use them do. And so Oracle could do the same thing. So I don't think it's a matter of losing any rights per se. I think really it's an issue of control and saying, look, we want to affirm that we have full control over our assets, and it's really up to us to decide whether or not we want to relinquish any of them. I think that's what it comes down to. But like I said, I love the idea of just like this drama going on, inside Oracle headquarters. What? What's going on here? I think that would be, would make for great TV, honestly. Right?
Well, the real world oftentimes isn't, TV, but at the same time, it's much more stranger than fiction.
It often is. All right. And folks, if you guys are having a good time watching this, and I know that we had a little bit of trouble getting in here before. I see now we have quite a bit of people in the chat. Hey guys, it's good to see you all. Hit the like button. Let other people get access to this episode and what we're doing here today, and share it. Let's get it bubbled up so that more people can watch the episode. So with that, I just want to point out, and you brought this up to me, StoryTeller, which is that there is a node security release next week. And the reason that we're bringing this up to you, it affects versions 18, 20, 22, and 23. Honestly, I don't remember which version Meteor is on right now. I think it's on 22. Is that right? 22
is the current one. Meteor 2, I believe, is on version 18. So all the, I could say the big ones. No, sorry. The is it 18? Yeah, potentially. I'll have to double check, but I think it should be 16. Because we skipped 20 when going to Meteor 3 and went straight to 22. So it should be 18.
Okay, all right. I know that we were on 14, like a special version of 14 that Meteor was maintaining for a while for the 2 series. But after, I guess, 2.6, we switched over.
Yeah, the latest one, the Meteor 2.16, I believe, is Meteor, or it's Node 18. So, yeah.
Okay,
so that one is also as a special release there.
So anyway, the whole point behind this is that, in keeping with recommended security practices, you should expect that the core team is going to be upgrading MeteorJS to these latest versions of Node. So you might see a new version of Meteor coming out. Probably it might fix some bugs, but more likely what it's going to be doing is it's going to be addressing the underlying need to stay on top of the latest versions of NodeJS in the version numbers that they're at for these security reasons. So I guess as we hear more, we'll let you know. All right. Yeah. And Jan, that's a little bit towards Meteor News, but you are the guy that usually does Meteor News. So why don't you pick it up from here?
All right. The first big, I've noticed it. I don't think there was any, at least I have not noticed any official announcement, but on the official website and on the forums and soon to be on the documentation itself, you might have noticed that there's a new Meteor logo. It kind of adds the burning part as the meteor descends through the atmosphere, or maybe it's in the shadow of the moon. Who knows? We'll have to kind of see what the official explanation of that is. And the colors are a bit adjusted. So that's, I would say, it's kind of like the regular uplift of the logos that a lot of companies tend to do quite regularly. and not sure if I fully can understand it, given how iconic the original is. But it's not big derivation, and it's not super simplification like we have seen with some big brands, which I personally very much hate. So yeah, that's what's happening, and I guess we'll hear more about that on Alim. Any comments on the new logo?
All right, so I have a hot take on this. All right, and I think this is related to a slide that you have later on that we're going to show. But I've said many times, I haven't. I should probably write about it just so that it's very clear what I think about this. Meteor is a great name, and it has been the historic name for a long time. The project is known as MeteorJS. Meteor is the name of the company. I get everything, but here's the problem. Like when I go and search for information and I use the word meteor, I get a lot of astronomical stuff that shows up in my search results. I get a lot of things on comets. I get a lot of things on like, where to go and see like shooting stars and things like that, things that are not related to a JavaScript platform. And so I really have this. I think that what we should do is we should be using like MeteorJS. I think that would make it like much better. Not Meteor.js, and I have a whole other argument with that. I've done some searches in the past, anonymized search in the past, to see what the results look like. And honestly, I think when you search and when you teach people to search on the project with the name MeteorJS, you will find a lot more related content. And so when we're bringing new people into the community, when we're trying to convince people who have never used it before to come to the community, if they come to the website and they see Meteor and then they search on Meteor, they're less likely to get relevant, good, current results than if they were to use MeteorJS. And that's my hot take on it. I would go to war on that. I believe that is probably the better way to go about it. And I think there's a bit of a missed opportunity with not updating the logo to reflect that it is, MeteorJS. I don't know whether or not they did this simply to keep it in line with what we had before, which is what it seems like to me. It's just like a little bit of a refresh, but I think that there's a missed opportunity to really kind of, update it to take advantage of how to create awareness for the project. That's just
sounds good. Well, yeah. Everybody else, let us know in the chat what do you think of the new logo. We're can guess probably some design taste from that as well. So that's for the chat. Moving on, MeteorJS version 3.1.1 is out. This was it has of course the Node 22.13, which I believe is currently the latest version in the 22 branch. It has some performance improvements by Leoonardo and some other fixes, updates, all that stuff as you can read there or check out. So it's a patch release, so it looks like a patch release. Interesting thing regarding the patch release here, especially in relations to the performance part, is that there are now official benchmarks. So there's a Meteor / performance repository where are the benchmarks, how they are run and everything. So you can compare one release to another. There is an additional article on the forums about comparing the Meteor 2.16 to 3.1 with these benchmarks. So this might be something that you might want to check out, and especially if you have a package that might be a bit more advanced, you can maybe use this as well to kind of see what impact it has on performance. And we can also, in the future, before we do like any releases, we can compare if maybe one of the new features or something we've changed, if it had impact on performance, so that we can catch it earlier than people reporting it later on in production.
So 22.13 claims that one of the improvements that they make is improve startup time. So with the Meteor performance that we see when they do that comparison between the earlier version of Meteor and now the current version, is that something that we are able to confirm that we get a benefit from?
You mean in regards to Node?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that has been, I would say, the biggest performance improvements that I think was kind of seen there, which was
Right.
the update to Node, update to MongoDB driver, and similar upgrades. They have, I would say, the biggest impact on the performance. Then following that, the biggest impact on performance is going to be anything related to things like subscription and real-time aspects. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that you will see when comparing from Meteor 2 to Meteor 3, because we have pretty much almost two or three stable or long-term versions of Node, and all the upgrades that come from that. So that's, I would say, the biggest thing that you will see there.
Okay. We got some feedback on the logo here, and I don't think we've been showing, or maybe we have, and I just haven't noticed it. But it says the font and spacing looks better, but the icon is made, and that's from Jan P. Let's see. By the way, I just want to, somebody had you had asked, is Oracle evil? Which is a great question to ask. Min had said, what do you think? Do you think people who license software based on CPQs are good people? I responded, and this is just because, this is how I used to sell software. Everybody did at one time, but it's like Oracle's the only one. It sounds like the only one left doing it. So, man, I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm just saying, old people do old things. We're not always the most innovative in terms of figuring out economic models, but there have been a lot of new models that have come out since. I'm really surprised to hear that Oracle is still doing CPU pricing. I guess it's a great way to extract money without creating a huge amount of value, I guess. Wait, I said that? I didn't say that. Let's move on. What did I just say?
Yes. Speaking of Leoonardo that I mentioned, who has been working with performance improvements. He is sadly leaving Meteor Software for personal or family reasons. So, if you haven't already, please go into the forum post. I make sure to say thank you for all his work. Also, I would like to shell out his other project that he has, which is Meteor DevTools Evolved, which should be probably something that you should definitely use for debugging your applications, Meteor applications, because it gives you a lot of insight there. So, again, thanks very much, Leonardo, and we hope to see you around the Meteor community. And finally, we have an article on the official blog post from Gabriel Gruba in how to use kind of real-time apps with Zod and TypeScript. I would kind of check this under outreach, trying to get more people interested in Meteor itself. But definitely check it out. It talks, as the title says, about Zod, TypeScript, and all that, how it kind of works with Meteor. And with that, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, but also subscribe to our channel. So it helps us a lot in our long-term effort to spread the awareness. And you can also click the bell icon right next to the subscribe, So that should hopefully help you to get notified about our upcoming episodes. There's been quite a big debate about if it actually does anything, but you can also set it to receive emails as well. So if you want to keep up informed, then that's the way to do it. And that brings us to our special segment about understanding Meteor, related to which, if you go to meteor.com/cloud/saving-plan, you will be able to fill out your information, including your Galaxy account. And if you add in the code dispatches-60, then you will get $60 credit, which is good for about 2 months of running on the low paid tier. So good for testing out Galaxy or kind of making sure you save some money.
Let me just point out one thing here. We are showing the holiday savings plan page because I wasn't quite sure whether or not that is still going on. I just thought, let's throw it up there just in case it is. And so people can get like the double savings. They will get that 30% savings, and they would also get the benefit of the credits that we also offer here. So hopefully you can take advantage of both and just use it to your advantage. All right. So I think we're coming to as they say in wrestling, main event, right? So
yeah.
So what happened this week? You got together with an old friend of the community, somebody who's really hardworking in here, and who has given back again and again, and we're really proud of, and who's done something I think we haven't seen anybody do in a while, which is create beginner content that allows you to kind of get a good sense of what Meteor is within a very short period of time, right? So who are we talking about here, and what happened, and what went on?
Well, I sat down with Harry Adel, recorded a nice interview about all of that, and I think it might be better if we actually go to my alter ego over here,
okay.
And let's see what we have talked about.
I thought we had a slide with Harry in there, Harry's face, so people could see who we're talking about. We have
let me go back to that. You will see him soon as well.
That's right. So this is Harry Adel, for those of you who don't know him, and give a little bit of background on who he is, and then we'll go again to your alter ego.
That's already.
Oh, it's in there.
So, yes.
Okay. All right. You'll do the introduction there. All right. Cool.
Let's get that going. For myself and Yoalim, let's get tea, and everybody else enjoy. As promised, moving on, we have interview with Harry Adel. Harry has been with Meteor for a very long time, at least since 2017. And recently he has published what hopefully will be a beginning of an ongoing series called Your First Meteor Application, giving you introduction how to get back to Meteor with version 3.1 and going on. So Harry has been a long-term contributor, not just to Meteor itself, but also to Meteor coded packages. So I can vouch that what he's saying in those tutorials is legit and true. So with further ado, hey Harry, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
So tell me about the tutorial. What does it cover, and what are your future plans with this?
The tutorial basically covers the bread and butter of Meteor, the methods and pub/sub. It's my first step into tutorial world, at least in the video format. I used to write a couple of articles here and there. As for the future, I don't like to make big promises. I just like to undertalk and over deliver. So we're going to see, but I'm just trying to get as much as feedback as I can, either positive or negative, and just iterate and improve as I go on.
So I started going through it as well, but sadly didn't have time to
Mhm.
finish everything. So I saw we kind of have the really basics, and that kind of brings me to who's your target audience for this?
I would say like two people. So first off is the seasoned Node.js the developers who got signed at the company to work with Meteor. So they want to get up and running quickly. So they know JavaScript, they know Node.js, but and they even know Express, all different type of Node.js frameworks, but they want to get up and running quickly. So this year's will help them immensely, and also novice developers who just know enough, Node and JavaScript, and would like to get started with Meteor or any back end Node framework. So I would say, like in general, the only prerequisite to want to have is some solid Node.js or JavaScript knowledge.
So for seasoned developers, I think the big question is, why should we care about Meteor? Why should they care about learning about Meteor?
Meteor has been around forever, and it's only getting better as time goes on. And right now, as we speak, with the beginning of this year, Meteor is even in a much stronger position to continue evolving in a good direction. So with the introduction of 3.0, we have shed tons of baggage, tons of burdens and legacy code, and now Meteor is more aligned with the broader Node.js community, and it used to lag a little bit behind in terms of the Node.js releases and Meteor, but that's not the case anymore. So Meteor is like racing and just staying along with Node.js. So it just makes it an all-around great framework to have, and you can trust that it's going to be useful for a very long time to come.
So a while back, I had an encounter with a scammer account that tried to get to me
Yeah.
and my personal information, saying about, oh, how do you uh, kind of square against the accusation that Meteor is hard to learn, and that kind of, I told them, I don't know what the heck are you talking about. I think Meteor is, pretty easy to learn, but I would kind of like to also hear your input. Is it like Meteor hard or easy uh, to learn, at least from your perspective?
I would say very, very easy, because if you know JavaScript, then you know Meteor. And the very same concepts that Meteor uses are just, um, core JS concept that Meteor just remodels. So if you know what a function is and how to invoke it, then you know what a method is. A method is just nothing but a function that you call. So it's very, very simple. Also, you have publications and subscriptions. So again, very, very easy. It's almost like a functional call. So I would say Meteor is very, very easy, and it has like a very few thoughts that you need to grasp. But once you do, there's not much to learn really. So I'd say it's very easy, and that's just a truthful answer, not trying to sugarcoat it for anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's always, but at the same time it's always a big question. Okay, if for us it's easy because we have been around these concepts forever, and that's why I was also initially also intrigued by that question. Okay, somebody claims that it's hard, and then the question is, okay, what is the hard part? And so far, and I think this kind of goes with every framework. Once you kind of grasp the
Hmm.
main concept, then
Hmm.
it's usually pretty easy, or at least it should be easy. Which kind
In
of gets
theory,
me,
yes.
you kind of mentioned that in a way, once you know JavaScript and grasp the basic points, Meteor then is fine. So, what is the strong point? Why should people consider Meteor instead of just running their own stack?
I thought deeply about this, and I came up with like 3 points. Okay, not just a
Mhm.
single one. So I would say first off, simplicity. Okay, just like the good old Coke formula. Okay, once you have like a very good idea, you don't have to iterate on it endlessly. It's just a bottomless pit, and like, till when would you know that you've achieved the perfect thing? Okay, and in the broad Node.js community, this is a very needed idea. The fact that you don't have to just to keep on improving forever. The state of erosion, you find an npm package that just pops out a day and then dies the next one. So when does it all end? And I'm not taking a stab at the Node.js community. Matter of fact, this is a fact that it's a very lively one, and it should continue being so. But what I'm trying to convey is that there is a very serious need for just a good framework that's just good at what it does, and it will continue being so. Not changing with every single release. Oh, hydration, SSR, maybe no. We need to do this and that. No, just a good idea that you can trust and rely on forever. So that's for simplicity. Second, I would say community. Meteor has a very strong nucleus of core contributors. Even, I mean, the very same fact that you and I are talking is an evidence of that, because this is a community podcast and I'm a community contributor. Okay, we're not getting paid. I wasn't getting paid to do this tutorial. Neither you were getting paid to start this podcast with Alim or with Jan. And you can go to the forums if you don't believe me. Okay, you just go to the forums, ask a question. You'd find plenty of people to help you out. So the community is very strong, and we have been tested multiple times. Okay, we have been through the thick and thin, and we're still here, and we're going to be still here. So the community, very, very strong point. Lastly, I would say time. Meteor has been around for so long, and it's like the fact that it has been around for so long, it indicates a lot of things. First off, it's battle tested. Whatever problem you might have, it has already been solved, or other people are already found a fix for it. So multiple solutions have already been integrated back into the framework, and all in all, it's just like this Lindy effect. The fact that something has been around for so long means also it's going to be around for so much more in the future. And again, in the Node.js world, like, we are so much in need of that, for sturdy solutions that just it's going to be around. You're not afraid it's going to be changed, dies, mutated. Just it's there. It's your trusty friend from kindergarten that's going to be around till till your 60s. And I believe this is a very deep point, especially in today's world and in general, and even in our technology framework, and even more specifically in the current Node.js world. So yeah, those 3 points.
Yeah, that really gets me thinking, especially a lot with how things are changing, or in
Yeah.
general. As I grow older, I realize that how many things have changed, but at the same time, how certain things have stayed the same. And I'm always like, double checking back but myself. Okay, am I not becoming a grumpy old man, telling the kids to get off my lawn by wanting certain like solutions to kind of stay and kind of remain, but at the
Mhm.
same time, like this, okay, web development in itself is a very, very young field,
Mm.
barely over
True.
30, and there has been a lot of course, the early innovation, and I'm like thinking, okay, are we still going up with new stuff, with innovation, and or have we already started plateauing so that we can kind of say keep the tools that we have and be sure that they are going to stick around for a while. And
Yeah.
a lot of the things is a lot of people are thinking, oh, Meteor should add this and that. And that brings me to my next question. What is kind of like on your top list, if anything, that should be added to Meteor?
I would say more seamless integration between Meteor and other non-Meteor tools in general. And this is already undergoing, for instance, with Zodern's effort. Big shout out to him, okay? And his work on the package.json export fields. So I would really love to see that being integrated into Meteor in the near future. And yeah, in general, just whatever tool you would like to use with Meteor, it should be very, very easy. and I believe there's a little bit of effort we need to invest in that department.
Integration with other tools has been a big sticking point since the beginning of Meteor, especially in wild days at the beginning, or that was, I would say, in general, wild days for everybody in the JavaScript ecosystem, which we still have a bit of a legacy in Meteor. And that kind of brings me, because a lot of people, especially new ones, won't know about this. What is something about Meteor that you think more people should know about?
Meteor was officially released on 20th of January in 2012, and we can even go a little bit back when it was called Skybreaks, but I will just start at that date. So given today, as of today's recording, Meteor would be 13 years old and 4 days. So that just goes to show how much it has been around. I mean, how many Node.js frameworks, or even like whatever tool you can speak of, has been around for that long. So 13 years, that's a lot. Okay. Meteor is not young, is not a teenager, is not a child. So yeah.
Yeah, it's out there with the jQuery and other big and famous tool. It's the same thing also about Node, because of course Meteor is built on top of Node, so Node has to precede it. But back then it was like Node 0.10 or something small.
Exactly.
Which is quite crazy to think about it. So in a way, what I take away from this is to think about I should say the times and how things are going to change, which of course with AI around everywhere, that's going to
you never know.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting changes in the future, hopefully, or hopefully not too destructive. But back to you, Harry. What's next? With you and with your tutorials, you have like already the next episodes plans out, and also beyond that, what are you planning to do?
No promises, as I've said. Okay, I like to keep you on edge. But in general, I would like to deepen my knowledge, because I believe you should preach what you do and what you practice. And how can I say, oh, this is the best way to do this in Meteor or that, if I don't understand what even Meteor is or how it works? So I believe I still have a long journey when it comes to learning Meteor. I still struggle with internals and how Meteor functions under the hood. So I'd like just to continue growing and striving, and getting to know more about Meteor. And yeah, spreading my knowledge. So the more I acquire, the more I can like dispense and teach. So yeah, you can just wait, okay?
All right. So while waiting, where can people find you online so they can watch out what you're coming up with?
You can always find me on my GitHub, okay? Also on the Meteor forums, Harry 97. And lastly, Twitter, I would say Harry Adel 2. Okay, I'm trying to change that handle. And yeah, you can just go to the Meteor forums, just type my name. You'll probably find me, hopefully in a good way.
All right. Anything else, or do you have like a sponsorship or anything like that?
Yes. Speaking of that, you can sponsor me on my official GitHub account. It just helps me to stay motivated, and it helps me to know that someone out there appreciates my work, and it will just make me much more confident in releasing those tutorials and continuing my Meteor efforts and open source work in general.
Related to that, what is your goal like with your sponsorship? Is it just so that you can set more time aside for open source, or do you want to kind of become full-time open source?
I would say the big dream and the far-fetched one, which unlikely to happen, but I have been investing so much time in Meteor to the point where it has helped my career in a way, but also affected it in a bit of a negative way. So if I can go full-time on Meteor and my open source efforts, and knowing that I won't need to, struggle for income and whatnot. That would be amazing, and that's probably the wet dream. Sorry for all developers out there, to just work on open source full time. But again, you have to get back to the real world and be realistic about it. People take open source for granted, and it just hopefully that can change. That can change. And for me personally, sorry to go on this, but I try to dispense some of what I have back to the community, back to the people, and that in turn should get back to me. So what I'm trying to say is you can still be selfish and help others, and eventually, like, everybody can benefit, and we no longer live in a zero-sum world.
Yes, that topic by itself is a big kind of words that we already had multiple discussions, and I think we will still have many more, because it also is, I would say, tightly linked to the changes in the world and everything. So once again, thank you very much, Harry, for joining me today. Everybody, check down there the link to see Harry's GitHub sponsorship and make his dreams come true. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Nicely done. Are we back on?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. So, yep, that was Harry Adel. So, if you get a chance, go and do the. It really doesn't take that much time. It's a little over an hour. Go and do the tutorial. It's very simple. It's very straightforward, and I promise you will get something. It's something beneficial. So, did we have the link to the tutorial up here?
I'm afraid not.
We need to remedy that. All right. Well, why don't we get into whatever else we've got going on?
Yes.
And
moving on to.
Yeah, I'll look for the link in the meantime.
Yeah. Moving on to, say, mentions, I want to kind of highlight this website, risingstar.js.org. They have a yearly Rising Stars, which takes primarily stars on GitHub and how they evolve through the year. As we know from our previous episode, that is not the most accurate metric, but I think with the top project, it kind of holds. So if you're interested in what through the year people were interested in, like projects around JavaScript, definitely take a look. And I would recommend also to take a look in general to kind of get an idea of what other people are looking at, or if there is some new interesting thing that you might be using. So check this out, Best of JS. And Alim, I think I've kind of talked about it already, but I think it bears repeating, not just for the logo, but in general when talking about Meteor.
Absolutely. Right now, I'm trying to get together. So why don't you just continue on? I'm getting together some resources so that I can share with you all the link to the playlist for the tutorial. So you just continue, Jan, and I will just finish this up.
So as Ale mentioned, this is gonna goes when it comes to naming convention when talking about Meteor. If you just talk about, if you write articles or anything like that, what I usually do is establish, let's say, the context of whatever I'm speaking about, and then I can use Meteor without the .js or JS addition to it. But it's important to have the JS in there so that you can distinguish from the general normal Meteor related searches and stuff. So it's your work is more easily to find, or you can actually find something. Unless, of course, as I think Jan Pilgrim already mentioned in the comments, you have trained your Google and AI that whenever you talk about Meteor, it's about MeteorJS and not the stones from space. But yeah, so be sure to use MeteorJS instead of Meteor.js, as that one is much better. And if I remember correctly, Alan, one of your arguments was that with MeteorJS instead of Meteor.js, it will also find newer stuff instead of the old ones.
Yeah, there is, and also there's some confusion in the mind also, right? Because the other thing too is like typically when we see a .js, and I know that this is sort of a recent convention that a lot of newer projects are using is this .js. There are libraries out there that can be that can be described in a single file, right? And when you're taking a look at them, you might see a library that is just a single file, like everything concatenated in a single file, and it's .js. But that's not what Meteor is. Meteor is a pretty complex set of packages and tooling that is a full platform. It's got the back end, it's got the front end, it's got everything in between. And so I think when we also do the .js, we really kind of create a mental space about how we compare this to other libraries and tools that are out there. And so, the idea of like saying, oh, well, we've got MeteorJS, and somebody says, well, how does that compare to React? Or how does that compare to, you can't, right? Because Meteor uses React, right? Or it uses Solid, or it uses, Blaze. So I think there's some mental confusion that comes in when people see a convention that's being used in one space being used elsewhere. So I don't think that for that reason additionally, I don't think that you want to do a .js. And yes, it is harder. Like when you do a search .js in, say, for instance, YouTube or even Google, it sometimes looks at it a little differently. It doesn't always treat it the same way. The search results aren't always the same. So
yeah,
that's kind of
I like the comparison that Meteor is not just a JS file, so
Yeah.
that's not why we should not use the dot. I know Meteor is mighty big, has a lot of stuff, so MeteorJS.
Yeah, and right now I am trying to get this. It's taking me a little longer than I want to, but it's I'll have this up in about another second, and I just
in the meantime, I'll start slowly closing down. On Monday, on my stream, I will be building out providers, specifically for Bluesky and MoyaID, which MoyaID is a check OAuth, or not necessarily like OAuth, but check you could say identification provider. So that one is going to be a bit of a challenge, and so I'll see if I can even make that one. But for Bluesky, that should be very similar to Twitter itself, I think.
That's kind of cool.
So we'll have to see how well I can do that. So yeah, I will be doing these two all providers. So if you want to kind of see how all providers for Meteor are built, be sure to come and visit me on Monday on my channel.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. The auth provider for Facebook, is that the same auth provider that's used for Instagram? Can you use your Instagram account to log in using the Facebook number?
No, as far as I know, Instagram doesn't have like its own OAuth because it's built into or part of the Facebook thing. So you can get from Instagram, you can use your Facebook account, but I don't remember. Let me just do a quick search if it actually exists or not now. Looking at this now, everything goes through the official Facebook provider on that. So
okay, And I've put a new slide after this one so that people can get to Harry's tutorial. So if you want to...
Let's see if it's... I need to refresh this. Yes. There we go.
There we go. All right. So if you want to reach out and learn how to use Meteor and do that within an 80-minute period, go hit this playlist and you will learn a lot. Okay. And I think we're still up in the air a little bit about what next week's going to be about. We're talking about that internally. We either might have our awards night where we announce, well, it's going to be an awards night, day, whatever you want to call it, but awards episode where we announce the winners of the 2024 MeteorJS Community Ambassador Award. And we've got 8 people I think we can share, right? I'm not going to mention the names, but we can share that number. And it's a question of whether or not we're going to do it next week or the week after. So we're still trying to work that out. And obviously, as you could tell, we're still trying to work out like how to use the software properly. So that's part of the issue in terms of whether or not we're going to be ready to bring on some other people with this. So with that, if there is nothing else to add,
that's it.
All right. We're going to wish you a great weekend. And thanks for stopping in again and watching the show with us. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Okay.